Welcome to Above the Garage.
Hi, friends. Welcome to our discussion of Season 2, Episode 10 of Your Honor, the season finale, and it's so good. But let's do our round of introductions and then dive in.
Hi, I'm Scarlett.
Hi, I'm Kimberly.
And I'm Kate. You guys, I'm not exaggerating when I say I think this was like the best written season of television ever. Every episode, especially this one, was just brilliant, and everything came together in the end with like absolute perfection. Did y'all like it as much as I did?
Yeah, I loved it. Most of the storylines got some sort of conclusion by the end.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
I mean,
And
it was great.
perfectly. I feel like everybody deserves all the awards, starting with Joey, all the way down to the baby and the dog and the bull.
I definitely think it was one of the best either season or series finales that I've ever seen.
Yeah, and especially coming from the first season was meant to be a standalone, a limited series, and then they decided to create a season 2 out of not a lot, no plans to do so, and that's fucking incredible that they did this well.
And how they tied it together to the first season was also pretty impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Brilliant. They're so well done. I could go on about this forever. Okay, but let's talk about the episode.
They left it open.
They did. They left it open a lot more than they did season 1. So
Yeah, totally.
I'm not buying this final season stuff. I hope there'll be another.
Fingers crossed.
But okay, so the episode. So the episode opens with Michael opening boxes of Adam's things. We see a few key Adam items, or rather pieces of evidence, an inhaler and the camera he was using to take pictures of the crime scene in season 1. Then a pair of cute little bronze baby booties. Is that a thing parents are supposed to do? Because nobody told me.
No, I did not. I failed.
The bronzing of the shoes. Whoops. Anyway, the scene itself is quite cute. Perhaps our last shot at a happy little family ever. That they're sitting around the living room, the perfect baby being perfect as usual, just playing quietly with his toys. So all this stuff seems to have come from Liz cleaning out his house after Adam died when Michael was in jail. And then there's one more crucial piece of evidence. The baseball from season 1, signed by Mariano Rivera, the greatest closer of all time. Until Joey Hartstone, that is. Considering like Game of Thrones and Lost and I don't know, almost every other fucking show on the planet, I think shows should have closing writers, like closing pictures, that are specifically good at sticking the landing.
Very good idea. They should totally be paid more too for that.
They should.
Exact reason.
But let's get to the best part of the scene. The baby actually plays with the baseball. Because of course he does. He's perfect. And it's as fucking adorable as it could be while Michael looks on, unsettled.
I got PTSD looking at that fucking inhaler again.
Oh my god, I know.
When it came back, I was like, no, the inhaler, don't show me that again.
Throw away the inhaler immediately.
It's interesting that she kept it, right? That was one of the things she kept from his stuff.
I guess, but she has no idea.
Yeah, but wouldn't it just be weird to keep the inhaler?
Yes, that is a weird thing to keep. Okay, yeah, no, I wouldn't keep the inhaler, period. You're right. It did remind me of the season 1 finale when he's out in the hallway outside the court using the inhaler, and Gina and Jimmy look over at him and they, suddenly understand everything.
Yeah.
I love that reveal. And then we go to some more evidence. It has finally dawned on Eugene that maybe he shouldn't have drawn detailed pictures of his crime and all the season 1 events leading up to it. So even after she tells him nobody has said that they saw the gun going off, he's like, well, what about these? With his drawings in his hand. And she ignores that. She can't really reassure him about those, it seems. So she focuses on the fact that they just need to convince one person out of those 12 of just a little bit of doubt.
That's risky, though, because I think it's pretty obvious that he did it, unfortunately.
Right. I mean, it's a stretch to even... She's hanging on to nobody saw like the muzzle get fired. It's like,
She's holding on to creating that reasonable doubt and, to appeal to the heart of the jurors with everything that happened that led to him doing that.
Now to Rosie and Olivia and Nancy. I love the arc of these two from enemies in the beginning of the season to friends, like completely on the same page by the end. And I like them together. Olivia is still reeling from Jimmy pulling out of the Baxter district after 18 months of her hard work, and she's scared she's going to get demoted again. I like when Nancy tells her, it's not you, it's the city. There's something about the city that's designed to make sure its problems never get solved. But they have to keep trying. And Olivia tells her first it was New York City to New Orleans, so what's next? New Hampshire, prosecuting maple syrup smugglers? And they have a cute little laugh. And then Nancy says something we've discussed a couple times. In the history of men getting away with shit, it always emboldens them to do it again, and they get caught. Like in real life, that always seems to happen. It's so crazy. But she specifically mentions Mayor Figaro as well as Baxter. So she's not just after Baxter, but Charlie too.
That's what I was going to say. That was my favorite line of that whole interaction. The one that you just said, I thought it was great.
Yeah, it's so good and true.
Very true.
I like Amy and Rosie together now that they're friends. I like it more.
Yeah, they're cute, right? The little smile and joke they cracked. It was nice to see compared to that first scene they had together.
Right. Maybe more next season. Then there's a beautiful shot of Gina and Carmine strolling through the moss trees. Carmine finally agrees it's time to take the family away from Jimmy, but here's where they disagree. Carmine wants to take over until Carlo's ready because Gina has a vagina. Actually, maybe that's why he named her Gina.
Oh my gosh.
Gina.
That's so funny.
Anyway, due to that unfortunate fact, she is incapable of running a family, which is ironic, don't you think?
Yeah.
Gina takes this better than I would have expected, even after she tells him, I thought we wrote the rules, and he tells her, not that one. And he holds both her hands like so adorably as he breaks her heart and signs his own death warrant or prison warrant, I guess. And then they continue walking merrily through the park. It really is like kind of cute if you ignore what's about to happen. She's a good actress, that Gina.
She is.
We can change any rule except that one. No woman can be head. That is like written on stone. I think it's funny because by the end of the episode, I'm pretty sure we'll talk about this, but I'm thinking he says that she can't do this, and then she took out basically her husband and her father in one sweet motion. Like she can't run what? And I hate her.
Exactly.
I hate her.
I know.
But
yes.
Same. Props for that move. And she was smart though too, right? Instead of like arguing it further, she was like, all right, he's not going to change his mind, so I'm just going to take him out.
I loved when he was like, he'll stay until Carlo is ready. I was like, I think he'll be dead before then.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like you said, this park was so nice. I'm glad we got to see those trees I think it was the last time we saw them.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And I thought the costume was really great. I love both of their wardrobe in this scene.
I think Olivia Miles like just absolutely crushed this entire season because they're like, the characters dress very differently. From the Baxters to Big Mo to Michael, just crushed it. Now Jimmy and his excellent frowny face are back having a day drink at the bar when Carlo tells him they want a word, and Big Mo and Little Mo come around the corner. And goddamn it, Andreen looks amazing in every scene. Not just her costume, which we just discussed. Olivia Miles is incredible, but whoever does her hair and makeup and nails, it's just like she looks stunning in every scene. Obviously, Andreen is like simply perfect. She gets credit for that too. But anyway, she opens with hotel living doesn't suit you, Jimmy. As far as doghouses are concerned, I guess it could be worse. So good. She gets to her point quickly. Take a mighty shiny piece of jewelry to mend fences with the missus, huh? And she offers it to him, her bar. Shinier than the Hope Diamond, the one thing Gina seems to want above all else at the moment, and he can give it to her in exchange for letting Desire sling their drugs in the corner. It's such a smart offer, but shockingly, Jimmy is done trying to make things work with Gina. Were you guys surprised when he turned it down?
Not really.
No. I thought it's interesting because he was really trying to fix his marriage up to the point where she tells him that I'll never love you anymore. And it just gave me the impression that he was like, okay. And he was just done.
Yeah, he no longer gives a shit what happens, really, I don't think.
I also started questioning, like, I guess because they've been keeping an eye on the hotel, like, how did they know that Jimmy and the missus were not having it?
Yeah, I was thinking that as well.
It was a smart move on her part to, to get rid of the club and get what she wanted. So it was very interesting.
Because Janelle's probably, by the looks of it, left her. She obviously doesn't seem to want the club anymore.
Well, it's also because of what Little Mo told her, you haven't been in for a long time, you were just thinking about yourself. So what better way, quote unquote, to make amends than to just get rid of the club and go all in what they're supposed to be doing, which is not it's not the best endeavor, but yeah.
I was also surprised she came to him for his blessing. I guess it was necessary, but she's not usually in that position where she acknowledges needing something like that, inferior, I guess.
Mm-hmm. One thing I noticed was that she said the Hope Diamond, and I just wonder if that was a nod to Gina, the actress, Hope Davis.
Yeah, I also noticed that. It worked well that way.
It did.
Now for the scene we've been waiting for, the Django walk. But the music was so menacing,
Yay.
I couldn't actually enjoy my pup.
I know. I was like, oh, this music sounds really not great.
Yeah, I was so nervous for what was about to happen. And then he just gets served, which is funny because he knew he was going to get served. No big deal. I thought he was about to get murdered.
Me too.
Good work, everybody.
Shout out to Django, who was totally barking and trying to protect Michael.
Django was not going to let that happen.
Good boy.
He's such a good boy. We love our Django. Back inside, Michael takes Django's leash off and tells the ladies he's been subpoenaed. He doesn't want to testify because Eugene wasn't trying to kill Adam. But Liz argues it's not his job to protect him. And yes, it is, goddammit. It's everyone's job to protect Eugene at this point. Eugene must be protected. She ends the scene, though, telling him again, this is not on you. You're a good man, Michael.
I guess at this point, she doesn't know what exactly happens. I think she probably changed the tune a bit as the episode goes on.
Right,
by the looks
true.
of her.
You do, I have to keep reminding myself who doesn't know.
Yeah.
What.
Yeah.
You're right. And now for the baby's Emmy submission. Find me a cuter scene with a baby in any movie or TV show in the history of entertainment. I fucking dare you. It's not possible. You will fail. The way he's playing and then looking into Michael's eyes and holding it for so long. And then he makes that cute fucking noise. And it's just legitimately unreal. I know I sound like a broken record, but I don't care. That scene with the baby was the cutest thing I've ever seen.
I know. It was really cute. And then I had a bad thought, which is, what happened in the end is that this is probably the last time
goodbye.
we see him.
Right.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I kind of felt that way, even in the beginning scene too, when they're all happily in the living room, fuck.
Yeah.
Sign.
But seriously, that baby and the way, obviously Bryan must, when they're not filming, he totally must spend quite a bit of time with them, because babies don't react like that to everyone, And
no, not to strangers. Like you're saying, he must have spent so much time with them.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see it too, because in some of the wrap party pictures that I think Chief posted, right? You can see Bryan basically doing this with Jimmy Stanton's baby too.
Yeah. He obviously loves babies.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it makes me love him even more, which I didn't know was possible.
Yeah. Very adorable.
The reaction was perfect, because when he says I love you, the baby starts kind of giggling or laughing. And it's okay, this is a goodbye. Why did they have to do it so adorable?
Yeah. Oh, I'm sad that that's it for us and the baby. Now to court, the judge is not letting Lee ask Michael any questions outside of the night of the murder, which she points out is insane, but he's not backing down. He tells her he'll hold her in contempt and declare a mistrial if she disobeys him. And obviously she wouldn't care about contempt, but she's not going to fuck up Eugene's trial. Do you guys think this is just judge protecting their own kind of thing, or what?
In a way, I think, yeah, that's what that was. And I also think maybe if she wouldn't have been as aggressive with her opening statement, maybe the judge wouldn't have been,
Yeah.
She wasn't trying to appeal to the judge. She was just trying to appeal to the jurors. So it was kind of like a tactic.
I still think that was a very, very bad decision. There was no benefit to dissing the judge. So yeah, that was stupid, in my opinion. Then Michael's walking into the courthouse looking so good. He's come so far this season, as we've already mentioned, but he's also looking terrified. Seems like maybe he doesn't even know what he's about to do. Lee's coming up the stairs right then and furiously tells him if he can't lie, the least he can do is plead the fifth. That's what any lawyer would advise you do anyway. Presumably considering all that she knows about what actually happened, And when he gets called, the camera focuses on the Baxters. Fee is sitting with them now, which I thought was strange until Kimberly. You reminded me that she kind of made up with Daddy last episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that doesn't last for very long.
No. Michael takes the stand and Jarrett gets exactly 2 words out before Lee yells objection. She objects to him being called Judge Desiato. And she points out if she can't examine the witness properly, he shouldn't be able to glorify him excessively, which I agree with. So Jarek switches to Mr. Desiato and asks why he was at the hotel the night of the shooting. He was looking for Adam, who was dating Fia, tells him security wouldn't let him in, so he went around to a side window, and from there he saw Adam. And there's like a lot of long pauses and opportunities where we're like waiting to see if he's going to throw Eugene under the bus, and he swerves and says, no, I saw a lot of people, it was a party, and he avoids the obvious question until Jarek asks it directly. Did you see the shooter, I guess? And then there's another really long pause. Did you guys think he was going to lie by that point, or what? What were your thoughts at that point?
I was hoping he was. I think it's the only time I've been mad at Michael. Like, why are you lying? Obviously, then I understood, but I was really frustrated.
Yeah, I think I had finally gotten to the point where I thought he wasn't going to lie, just because of how he's kind of been changing this season, you know? But at that point, it definitely could have gone either way, and I was mad that he didn't lie. Also. But he tells the truth, down to seeing the gun in Eugene's hand, and Lee and Eugene look crushed.
I noticed that when they flashed to the Baxters, Jimmy put his hand on Fia's, and Gina looked over and she was pissed.
Oh, really? I missed that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it made it seem like she made up with Jimmy, but not really with Gina. And Gina is not happy.
Right, and you see that later, too.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny that Gina keeps thinking that Fia's going to come back to her, but she's done nothing. They have no relationship, you know? I mean, she hit her earlier in the season. There's just been no like pleasant relationship between them at any point in the show.
No.
Then it's Lee's turn to question Michael. Mr. Desiato, do you believe in justice? And I was curious what he'd say here. Kind of expecting no, actually. But he just says, I don't know. But the point is, for a judge to not say yes to that question, it's kind of a big deal. And then she says, how about karma, payback, retribution? She's being like so aggressive, and she's clearly just seething that she's not allowed to ask questions she needs to ask. And Jarek interjects, so Lee switches to fine. Do you believe your son deserved to die? It's like so aggressive. And then she switches to asking if he knew any reason her client would want to kill his son or Carlo Baxter. And the judge calls her up, tells her to stop. All the while, Michael's watching them closely and listening, I think, realizing that she's had her hands tied by the judge.
Yeah.
He seems like quite concerned as he's watching them.
I think he was paying attention, to see how he could maneuver the situation.
Right.
I do think at this point, I think he wanted Lee to ask the questions so that he could start answering them, because...
Right. That was the only way he could tell the truth and maybe...
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then Eugene would, hopefully have a chance to, not go to jail. So
right. Yeah, maybe that's why he was looking at them that way. Maybe he was like you're saying, just fully expecting her to ask the obvious questions, and he was planning on telling the truth, but she wasn't going to be able to do it. He was realizing.
Yes.
So yeah, good point, Kimberly. And man, Lee so clearly fucking hates Michael through this, though. It's so funny, like her tone and everything about how she's dressing him. And she finally gets to asking him how he could possibly remember Eugene's clothes so well if he'd never seen him before. And Michael surprises everyone by saying he was wearing the same clothes he was wearing earlier that day. When Eugene was in Michael's chambers selling Michael the baseball for $500. So that's like a huge bomb. Like nobody knew that he'd seen Eugene earlier in the day, or that they had any, knowledge of each other or relationship.
She was very smart, I thought. It finally clocked in her brain, how am I going to do this? And
right.
She finally got there. Yeah.
And Jarek tries to object, but since Michael's the one that started it, giving it excess information, then he allows it.
I took it as Michael slowly kind of led her to ask the right questions.
Right.
Yeah. So.
And he's obviously got so much experience in these things.
Yeah. Now he's signaled to her, like, I'm willing to reveal the truth of everything. Just keep going, like you said. So she digs in. He bought the baseball because it was in the car that killed Rocco Baxter, that his son was driving, not Kofi Jones. Kofi stole the car on October 10th, not October 9th, because Adam was driving the car on October 9th when he killed Rocco. Like, everything is, like, stated very clearly, right? And this is a revelation to many, but especially Fia.
I just was devastated because I'm sure that Michael knew that as soon as he said the truth, which is what he wanted to do, he was going to lose his grandson, Fia.
Yeah, so sad.
I mean, he should have told her I guess he just had no idea how it was going to go in court that day. But I feel bad for Fia that everybody did lie to her and nobody bothered to tell her the truth of this situation that, it's a big deal, involves her and the people closest to her, like, so much. It's shitty. I'd be so mad too. I'd be so mad. Anytime you find something out like that your family all knows and you don't, it's just very hurtful.
That whole scene just was so great. I just loved the dialogue, and you can definitely tell that Joey wanted to be a lawyer, I think.
Oh, for sure. But he gets the best parts because you get to write these like epic opening and closing statements, and the testimonies where things like this are dropped, and it's so good. So I think it's much more fun than being an actual lawyer.
When Lee said who was driving, like, I got really huge goosebumps, like, all over my arms. I was like, oh my God, it's going to happen. He's going to say it. And then he's like, my son, Adam. I was like, oh my God. Like, we've been waiting for this, like, since basically the first episode of season 1.
Right.
And, finally everyone knows what actually happened.
Yeah, same. I had so many goosebumps and I teared up so much, especially during like Eugene's later on. It's just a very moving, powerful episode for television.
Yeah.
So go straight from the court to Liz's house. And we've just seen Fia storm out of the court. Obviously, she's furious. When Michael and Liz get home, she's furiously packing up and about to move out of the house. She's angry because they've been lying to her this entire time and for covering up her brother's death. And she straight up calls Michael a liar, and Adam too, on her way out the door with the world's cutest baby. It's a sad scene for this briefly very happy, lovely family.
Yeah.
But no, it was sad, and Michael can't say anything back because she's right. She's completely right. Anyway, so back at the Baxter's debriefing, they're trying to figure out how fucked they are, but so far Michael hasn't exposed anyone but himself. Carmine suggests making sure he never talks again, and Jimmy tells Carmine to shut the fuck up. It was fun. So then Carmine suggests making it so Jimmy can never talk again. Tensions are running high, and it's funny when the lawyer excuses himself so they can carry on with their plans for murdering each other without him.
He's like, I really can't hear any of this. Bye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And before that, he was like, just to clarify, client privilege does not extend to future crimes, and especially those that you plan in my presence. But they don't care. They just keep going. It's really fun.
Yeah.
But Jimmy stops him from leaving and asks, like, what do you recommend we do right now, legally, at this very moment? And he says that they should do nothing. They'll go to court tomorrow as a family. And right then, Fia walks in. Perfect timing. She heads straight for her dad, leaving Gina awkwardly standing there looking on as they hug.
Pissy.
Yeah.
But she's way dumber than I thought if she really thought Fia was going to come to her for comfort.
Yeah, definitely. I love the way that Jimmy and Carmine were looking at each other throughout this whole scene. It just looked like they were going to like jump off the couch and literally like stab each other with like a pen or something.
Yeah, no, it was a great scene. Because we haven't seen a scene between them where Jimmy was like, I don't fucking care anymore, right? He's been treating Carmine with like respect, or we've
only really seen Jimmy like back down, I guess, to Carmine. Right. Like he's let him yell at him and push him against the wall, without anything happening to Carmine.
Without standing up to him. Yeah,
exactly.
Then Jarek and Lee are discussing the day in court. You done good, he said, but not good enough for negligent homicide and time served. No deal. He'll take his chances with the verdict.
She keeps playing the card of, if the Seattle situation comes out, that they're going to have to retry every case that he did. So she keeps holding on to that card to see if she can.
It's a big deal.
It is.
I don't know why he doesn't care. And obviously it's what happens in the end. So yeah, maybe Carlo gets Harry the Hooked next season. I don't know. I really surprises me that Jarek really doesn't care. I would take the plea deal. I would let Eugene off right now in exchange for not exposing the judge and what she's saying will happen, having to reach out.
I just think that the boss of that office knows, so I don't know if everybody knows, or they're just trying to protect, the office, or they just don't believe her because he went to prison for tax evasion. But the top person in that office has to know, because they wouldn't have made that deal with Olivia.
I still think, though, that top person should be concerned about all the
for
work
sure.
this is going to create and chaos in their lives.
For sure.
I also think that he thinks, like, because Eugene still killed Adam, you know, he's still going to get time regardless. But obviously he doesn't realize what's going to happen later on.
It just seems like such an easy guy to let off in this situation, right? Like, you know why he did it. He's a kid. He's obviously not going to, but anyway, Eugene's excited to hear what the prosecutor said, but Lee tells him not to worry about that. So that didn't work. Now the question is, will it help or hurt if Eugene testifies? And Lee doesn't know. But Eugene has an opinion on this. Everyone's just trying to make me disappear, and I'm tired of hiding. He's gonna testify.
I was hoping that we'd see Eugene testify, but I wasn't sure. So when he said that he really wanted to get up there and face everyone, I was excited for him to be able to tell his own truth about, you know, what happened.
Yeah, me too. I mean, he's such a sympathetic character.
Yeah.
He needed to testify. But I'm curious what he would have said when Jarrett crosses and asks him, did you shoot at him? You know? I guess he gets to plead the fifth then. But I mean, that's the question, I think, that complicates whether he should testify or not. But they did it beautifully, so he didn't have to get there. Now it's time for Michael to tell Liz everything that happened in season 1. So he starts, I don't even know where to begin. I covered up a crime, destroyed evidence, lied to the police, told Adam to lie. And now she understands. And she like truly understands. She just says, you did it all to protect Adam, and that's all you got to say to me. Yay! It bothered me so much in the beginning that she was so pissed at him, but it turns out she just really hates tax evaders with a passion.
Yeah, it seems so.
Oh God, she was so mad.
All the other women in his life were so mad at him, like Nancy was so mad at him about what happened. Lee was so mad about it, what happened. So it was kind of refreshing that Elizabeth was just like, I understand. Like,
I get it.
If you did it to protect Adam, then I totally understand why you did it. And basically, you don't really need to tell me everything. I just understand regardless.
Yeah, that was amazing.
And she doesn't really have to. You know, that's not, they had a relationship. They had a grandson together, obviously, but those people are gone. So there's really just their memories, what ties them together. And she's still by his side. So it's a really beautiful relationship.
Oh, I love it.
I like how it's grown over the season.
Same. Yeah. And I like they had one episode together, kind of the whole episode when they're going to Robin's boyfriend's house. I like how they paired up certain people throughout the season in different episodes. Yeah. I just really enjoyed their playing off of each other.
Yeah.
But speaking of Michael hate, someone's at the door, and it's our buddy Nancy. He figures she's there to arrest him, I think, but she tells him after his testimony today, she's there to protect him from the Baxters, I suppose. But she's, she's coming around. She's proud of him for telling the truth, and there's hope for them yet. I'm
kind of surprised that they think that one cop would be able to protect him from the Baxters. I'm like, you said one cop.
Also, I think she's like a detective, and I'm not sure that's who you would send, but obviously within the cast it makes sense and it's sweet.
I think she went on her own.
Yeah, I was gonna just ask, do you think she went on her own accord or someone sent someone?
Yeah, I guess you're right.
I think when she saw that he was admitting to what he did, she was finally able to kind of forgive him in a way. And that's why she went. I really like, that's one of my favorite scenes. I mean, there's a lot of favorite scenes in this episode, but I really like that one because she was so mad at him. And then that was right after the testimony. So at least that's how I took it, that she went because he was making amends for his mistakes.
Right. Yeah, I like that. Back in court, I don't think I've mentioned yet in this episode how much I love that this show is ending in the courtroom. I think it's just like the most brilliant writing. For Your Honor to end in the courtroom, and with Michael's testimony being so important. But now Eugene's on the stand going through the events of season 1 with Lee. He starts with his mom's case in front of Judge Desiato last season when Michael let his mom off. The next day his brother was arrested. The house was raided, but they never found anything because Kofi didn't kill Rocco, but Carlo did kill Kofi, and he learned that when his mom was crying Kofi's name. I teared up so much during this testimony. Benjamin Flores Jr. is just incredible in the show.
It was so emotional.
Yeah. Ugh. And then he starts to tell about the following day. He was going to get the family food because they hadn't eaten anything all day, and he was walking back to the house when he watched it explode. And his eyes are full of tears, much like my own. Lee's asking him what he thought happened, to which Jarek obviously objects, but not before Eugene answers the Baxters did this. There was apparently a police investigation that cleared them and determined it was just a giant coincidence, a gas leak. But the camera turns to Michael in the stands, clearly putting something like much bigger together in his head as he's watching this unfold.
You could see his mind like ticking, like ticking away.
And, like as viewers, we're like excited, like, what is it? Trying to think like what he's putting together right now, but he's smart enough. It was really cool how they did that. I like the slow reveal, Meanwhile, Jarek's objecting again when Eugene says something so quietly the judge has to ask him to repeat it. They have names. Everyone keeps calling them my mother and her children, but they have names. My mother was Famali Jones. Her kids were Good Luck, Sophie, and Rose. They have names. And the camera pans to Olivia, who is teared up listening to this. Again, much like me. Lee asks for a short recess because of how affected Eugene is, and Michael tries to get her attention on the way out. And you can tell from Brian's face, he's, like we said before, figured out something huge. He follows Lee out into the hall, who tries to refuse to speak to him, but he's adamant, just listen to me. He was in my courtroom days earlier, and we had a conversation that's part of the official record. And I love how the camera then just watches from afar as Michael's explaining everything to her. So we still don't know like what's going on exactly, but we're excited because Michael's excited. And he's trying to help his son's killer get off, which is pretty fucking cool and what I wanted to happen. So, and like early season 1, Michael, trying to save people that are good.
Yeah, because in the first episode, right, of the first season, we saw the trial of Eugene's mom, right? And that's when we figured out, Michael seems like a decent dude.
Yeah, because you see him even like, I think he jogged by her house and looked in to see if it was like, possible to see the drugs or whatever it was. I forget that she was being like framed for. He was like going well out of his way to try and help this person.
Yeah.
It's just really cool. Yeah, I was surprised. Like, I know Lee hates him. I know she like hates him so much, but I was surprised that she was so unwilling to listen to him, considering he just kind of helped her on the stand,
She was just still hoping that he would lie. Like that was, and then it's like, after everything you did, you couldn't lie to help Eugene, but he turns it around.
Yeah. When they reconvene, Lee asks Eugene if he's been feeling survivor's guilt, if he feels bad that he wasn't in the house with his family, and he tells her all the time. But he had to leave the house because everyone was hungry, and his mom just didn't have it in her sometimes to feed them. It sounds like he was parent in the house most of the time, if not all of the time.
Yeah.
And at this point, Lee submits the conversation with Michael and Eugene that Michael just referenced, which further confirms poor Eugene's running his family and living off pickle juice and hot fries. Oh my God, you guys, like, I cannot imagine anything more disgusting. Those poor kids. But the point is, and it's so incredible to watch this dawn on Eugene's face.
When he started to realize, I was like, oh my God. So it's coming.
It was so exciting. It was just done so perfectly.
Yeah.
But we couldn't cook because they shut the gas off weeks earlier because we couldn't pay the bill. At this revelation that the Baxters killed his family for sure, Fia storms out of the courtroom. She warned Jimmy that this was his last chance, and if he lied to her, she would never forgive him. And he proceeded to lie to her. Do you guys think she would have forgiven him, though, if he had told her the truth the night before when she asked?
I don't know. She was so adamant of people telling her the truth. I think that maybe she would have been pissed off for a little bit, and then maybe she would have come around, but it's kind of like especially after listening to the testimony, they had absolutely nothing to do with this, and they ended up paying the price.
Right.
Yeah, I think after hearing the testimony, even if she had not forgiven her dad, but been like, okay, fine, that happened, but at least he told me the truth. Like, after hearing that, it's going to be pretty fucking difficult to, forgive in regards to, what Eugene was actually living like, and the fact that Kofi didn't even do it.
Exactly. I was just blown away how they were able to tie that. I mean, it's not a small detail, but that detail in season 1, episode 1, which when I saw it, it was like, okay, well, they're trying to tie in the Jones family, and they're trying to show like just how honorable of a judge Michael is. But to be able to tie that to the finale was, for me, like super impressive.
Yes.
So good. Oh, it's so good.
When Lee was like, eggs, bacon, and Eugene was like, no, none of that stuff. And then she's like, why not? And then it crosses to Michael's face and he's like, oh my God, do it. You can get there, do it.
Yeah.
And then, you know, he was like, we couldn't cook. And then the music was amazing. And then I got goosebumps again. And then you see Eugene finally realize, you know, and he was like, we couldn't cook because we didn't have any gas. And then it crosses to Michael again and he puts a little smile on his face. I was like, oh.
Oh, it's so good.
I put a love heart on my notes.
And then there's some like really cool courthouse shots after that from the exterior and before we hear court adjourn for the day. And actually it's adjourning for good for us. But before it all ends, Eugene calls out to Judge Desiato, still showing him the respective judge, by the way. And this scene makes me cry too. Eugene just wanted to apologize to him about Adam, and Michael nods and says, I know. But then he adds something very genuine and important. Also, I'm sorry too, Eugene, because he's responsible for the deaths of Eugene's like entire family indirectly, but he still knows he's responsible. And it's just nice because they're both good people still, despite everything that's happened, you know. And they understand that they're both good people, and it's just awful everything that's happened, but it's a very nice scene that I'm glad they included.
I really love the shots, like you said, Kate, of the courthouse, and the music was great, and I got goosebumps when they flashed up again. Got a lot of goosebumps in this episode.
I know. Yeah, and I think it focused on the word liberty outside the courthouse in those shots too. I didn't actually write it down, but yeah, I think that's like still stuck with me, even though I didn't. Very cool.
I got another love heart on my notes after Michael says, I know I'm sorry to Eugene. That deserved another love heart on my notebook.
What is a love heart? How is it different from a heart? I'm picturing a face with heart eyes, but tell me what a love heart is.
It's just a normal heart. I'm just, you know, it's just, it's nothing that
You're
fancy.
So cute.
It's just a heart.
You're so cute. Love heart.
That was a great scene. The simple apology between them was just
really it was so much, but it was so simple, and it was everything that we needed to see, right? Like the trial, they forgive each other. I loved it.
It's actually honorable between both of them, you know, because Eugene made a mistake and Michael knows exactly what he did. So
right, and Michael made mistakes. It's just perfect.
Yes.
Back at the Baxters, Gina and Jimmy are fighting again. Gina says the least he can do is fall on a sword, and he asks, are we just going to overlook that killing them was your idea? God, she is such a coward, too, in so many ways. She never gets her hands dirty. She tells Jimmy he's a pathetic excuse for a man, and she'd never been in charge of the family when Fia comes in enraged. She's trying to collect baby Rocco, but they won't let her, not in her state. Before she leaves again, she asks her dad, did you know about Adam and Rocco, too? And his silence is her answer. She calls them all monsters and pieces out. Things are not copacetic at the Baxters.
I thought, are they really going to take this? Like, I don't know if I went full telenovela, but I'm like, are they going to fucking take her kid away? Because they wouldn't give her the kid. I was like, why are they holding the kid and not giving? I mean, I know she's upset, but it just gave me that impression that they were just going to like put her in a mental institution and Gina was going to keep the fucking baby. And it's like, this better not happen.
Mm-hmm. Right. I think that this scene comes to play, I think, in the montage when we find out what she does with Rocco. To me, I was thinking of this scene and the fact that like they're trying to take Rocco from her. I mean, it's just maybe for a short amount of time, but all the same, they're willing to do that. You know, that was an awful scene to watch as a mom, that she can't like get her baby and go.
Mm-hmm. It pissed me off so much when they showed Gina and Carmine like the close up and then the baby. I was like, no wonder the baby's crying. You're such a bitch.
Right, and they're acting like they're protecting it, and it's like, no, fuck you. You are the problem, assholes. Now Lee turns the dynamic duo of Olivia and Nancy into a trio, a victorious trio. The gas was indeed turned off, and the investigation was led by a Baxter bot cop, unsurprisingly. And then Olivia drops the real bomb. The feds are going to put Eugene into protective custody, even though he can't even help them with her case. This is just like pure Eugene charity, and it makes me like Olivia.
Yeah.
So Olivia put Eugene as a cooperating witness, but she doesn't actually have to call him to the stand, right?
Right, because he doesn't actually know anything about the Baxters. Like, he knows about Desire, but he doesn't know anything about the Baxters. So she's saying, A, they need to protect him because he's just outed the Baxters as murderers. So they would come after him. But in order to get the government to protect you, I think you have to have something of value for them. So she's kind of like pretending like he has information on Baxter.
And he doesn't.
No actual intention to call him.
Yeah. That's interesting that you can do that actually, even without him having to actually do anything. But obviously it's great because he gets Eugene in witness protection.
I think they're just able to do it because it's a future thing, right? She's just going to say, I'm going to call him down the road, even though she has no intention on it.
Yeah.
She's still not transferred, so her investigation's still ongoing.
Yeah.
So she can use that to her advantage. I mean,
right.
And eventually, if he would have stayed, he would have still had to do prison time. Maybe less time, but he would have gone to prison regardless.
Yeah. And you also saw Olivia in the courtroom at least once, if not more, like tearing up. Oh, I think I might have even said that. But yeah, during his testimony, it really affected her and probably everyone. So then Lee takes the amazing news to Eugene and he asks if he can go back to Houston to Auntie Sheila. Come on, Eugene. He really doesn't want to give up his name, but they talk him into it. He'll always be Eugene Jones, Kofi's brother, but he's only going to be alive if he lets people call him something else.
I like the whole line from Olivia where she says, regardless of what anyone calls you, you will always be Kofi's brother. And for Marley's son, you'll always be Eugene Jones because that name is a part of who you are and no one can take that away from you.
Yeah, it was a great speech. Rosie was great in that scene.
Yeah, it made me actually like Olivia because I haven't liked her since the beginning.
Yeah, same. Thank God she came around in this episode because she's been annoying me like a lot.
I was sad though that he obviously can't go back to Houston because he and Aunt Sheila seem to have a cute little thing going on.
I know. And the principal, Brandy Cole, I liked that group of people. I mean, yeah, it'd be so insane for him to go back to Houston.
Yeah.
And then Lee gets to tell the judge and Jarek that they don't matter anymore. The Justice Department has taken over the case and Eugene's going to WITSEC. They're both displeased, but they can't do anything about it. So Lee wins. Very love fun scene for her.
How she leaves. This meeting is just a courtesy. Like, no matter what you guys do, no matter how much you bitch and fight, this is already done. Fuck you and fuck you.
Yeah,
the sass was amazing. So good.
I think Carmen was great this whole season, and it's still so funny to me that I'd already dismissed her as not coming back, and then she had giant role for the rest of the season. Loved it. After leaving the disaster that is her family, Fia's gone to the church again, where she tells the priest she can forgive Adam. She thinks she already has, but not her family. I like the line, is it fucked up that the only reason I'm willing to entertain the idea that God exists is because I'm certain that the devil does? Such a good line. And I like the priest. He's honest. He says he doesn't know why horrible things happen, but he believes the pain endured here is transformed to everlasting love in heaven. And she replies that, even if heaven exists, Rocco is the only one from my family heading there. And Fia finally says she needs that to be true. She needs to know when they lose someone, they haven't lost them forever. So all this really did make a believer out of her, it seems. So
I thought it was interesting that she could forgive Adam, basically, even though she said she's still really mad at him, but it's because she believes that he really did love her and that she can still feel it, even though obviously he is the one that killed her brother. And it seems that she can definitely not forgive her family.
Right. It's interesting though too, because the beginning of the season started out with her asking Michael if he loved her. She was having real trouble with that concept, I guess, somehow.
I would have had more doubts now because I'd be asking myself, why did he contact me if he knew who I was? It's really fucked up.
Yeah, especially when he just kind of showed up at the memorial they had and they sort of saw each other, and then that's when she recognizes him in that cafe.
Yeah, he also didn't tell her, just like everybody else.
Right. Yeah, I don't know if I would necessarily forgive Adam, and certainly not that quickly, because that's why he came to her, like you're saying. It wasn't just genuine attraction that happened. He's like a magnet to this crime that he's committed.
I think they bonded after that over their losses.
Yeah.
Right.
It could also be easier for her to forgive him if she believes that he really did love her.
When Fia said she definitely believes that the devil exists. I was like, yeah, it's your mother.
Boom. Fucking Gina.
You came out of the devil's vagina. Back in the corner, Big Mo makes a big move, tells Gina about the offer that Jimmy rejected, just trying to fuck up their marriage further. I mean, also trying to get her deal made, but bonus, fucking up their marriage further, and it works. She calls it her long game to Little Mo.
She was smart. That was very smart.
That was very smart. She's so smart.
Why do you guys think that Gina hates them so much? Is it because they're drug dealers? Not that the Baxters are, no criminals. Do you think it's race?
I think it's a little bit race, but I think it's even more probably the fact that she's a woman and she's in charge and she's allowed to be in charge in her world, and Gina's not, so she can't deal with that.
Yeah, I thought about that too.
Now in the security room, Gina plays her dad like a fiddle, tells Carmine Jimmy's going to go to the police and confess everything to take her down and destroy them, which is an absurd thing for Carmine to believe, but he does. Mm-hmm. And he leaves immediately to fulfill his threat of earlier in the episode, shutting Jimmy up forever. The lawyer's going to be so annoyed. Did y'all realize yet that she was fucking them both?
I actually thought that she was going to see Jimmy kill Carmine on the video. That was actually what I thought was going to happen.
Yeah.
I did not expect him to just shoot him in the hallway. But I thought that it would be like a bit more of a struggle and Jimmy would actually kill him and she'd be like really shocked that basically she just got her dad killed, but it totally went the other way.
Right. Yeah, I think just because of the emphasis on the security cameras and the fact that she was in that room that I kind of got right away that she was fucking them both.
Yeah.
It could have gone either way and it would have worked.
I guess, she was really smart to do it that way, but the whole damsel in distress thing that she used and her whole daddy.
I know. I can't believe he fell for it.
I just can't believe that she, like, at the end of the season, she's on top, she's.
Yeah.
I like Big Mo a lot better than what I like Gina. I mean, we shouldn't like these characters, but fucking Gina, man, she's such a bitch. Yeah. And she got what she wanted.
Yeah, she did.
Very annoying. But also, from a sexist perspective, I was a little bit proud of her for, saying fuck you, dad.
Oh, yeah, for sure. That I agree.
I loved how Carmine, he was like, what? When she was saying like what just happened and his reaction was, and the way he said it was just so funny.
Oh, and then he's like, tells him he was never his family as he lays there dying after he shot him twice. That was cruel, Carmine. And somewhat surprisingly, Gina calls the ambulance. She should have waited a few more minutes, Gina. But I still thought he was dead for the next 10 minutes, so well played.
I was so annoyed and I was like yelling at the screen. I think I actually lost my voice like almost by the end of this episode because I was like yelling at the screen. I have not done that for a while.
I know. I was waiting for you to get to that part behind because you were watching it like a half hour behind me, and I was like, I was checking my messages constantly for you to get to that part. And you didn't disappoint.
Yeah, this whole scene, I think, from when Gina is looking at the security cameras, what an awesome shot. Like, same way as when we saw Carlo earlier in the season.
Yeah.
I think this is definitely one of my favorite scenes this season. Just the whole thing from when Carmine comes in, Gina's whole like, oh my God, this has happened. Daddy, please help me. And then from her watching the security cameras to Carmine shooting Jimmy, the whole sequence was amazing.
Now, hooray, Eugene's getting out of jail. Lee and Olivia are there to wish him luck. Eugene smiles for the first time I can remember, and I don't even know the last time he smiled. He thanks Lee for caring about him. We all care about you, Eugene. And with that, he walks to the waiting government car and hopefully drives off to a happy life.
Yay!
I know, right? Ugh. The one thing that I wanted to happen was Eugene getting free, like all season, right? Mm-hmm. And it happened.
Mm-hmm.
Olivia's wondering what Lee's going to do now because she obviously fucking hates being a lawyer, and she tells her she doesn't know with a pretty smile.
The thank you for caring about me from Eugene earned another love heart on my notepad.
Love
I know, because like nobody cares about him out there. Although really, a lot of people have cared about him, like Little Mo, Sheila, like people have tried, but it wasn't enough.
Yeah. It was just nice because obviously since the beginning, Lee has probably been the one who's cared about him the most.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Ever since the first season.
Right. It was smart of him to go back to her place after he got shot. Loved it. The next scene has Gina and Carlo walking towards the camera, the new mob bosses. And Gina says you can sell anywhere in the quarter except my street. Turns out the Moes are behind the camera and they got their deal.
Big Mo is extremely happy with her fiddle playing.
I know. She did good. She played them. Then the Moes are moving out of the bar when a man comes in looking for an audition. Big Mo sends him off and then has second thoughts. She wants to hear one more song in her bar before she goes. Lil Mo pours them both a drink, and then Jor-El Devonquin, I'm probably butchering that, I apologize, but proceeds to play the most perfect ending song ever. What a song, what a voice, what a fucking montage to end the season on. Everything about it, just perfect.
I do remember this song from Sons of Anarchy. I'm not going to say anything just in case someone hasn't seen Sons of Anarchy, but it happens after a very big moment in season 7, and I have loved the song ever since. It is great.
Yep.
Yeah, it's so good. And the song is called Make It Rain by Foy Vance, which is, just perfect name. The lyrics are perfect. The sins of my father, it starts with, everything about it is just so perfect.
Yeah, perfect song choice to end the season.
And it was chosen by the music supervisor, Thomas Galubik. I know I butchered that, I'm sorry. But he also did the ending montage of 6 Feet Under, which was also incredible. So
yes,
what a great music supervisor.
He knows how to do his montages.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's a big deal. The music really, really matters in performing this time.
It really does. It makes such a big difference to everything.
In this montage, we see Michael throwing the baseball into the water, Eugene smiling in the car on the way to his new life, Charlie debating his choices in his office, it seems, not entirely happily, Carmine pondering the consequences of his misogynistic views in prison, Olivia coming to visit Carmine. Will he turn against Gina? Liz crying while Michael moves out. Fia inside the church with Rocco, handing the baby to the priest, who then hands the baby to the luckiest adoptive couple of all time. And then Fia's driving in tears. God, how fucking awful. Carlos taking his tie off. Time for a sartorial change. And Gina's on her balcony looking out over her kingdom when Carlo joins her. They're looking down the shuttered bar when Big Mo comes out, gives her a smile, puts her glasses on, and walks. And then, this is where Kimberly rejoices. Jimmy opens his eyeballs in the hospital. He's not dead. And then, finally, Nancy's driving Michael in a very ugly brown car, if you don't mind me saying that. Well, where is she driving him? Oh, it's her greatest dream come true. He's going back to prison. I wonder how long for. But it's pretty cool. He's done everything he can to reverse his previous misdeeds. What a fucking amazing show. I can't get over how good this is.
What an incredible montage.
Yeah.
Do you think that Carmine will turn against Gina if there's a season 3? I think he'll be pretty pissed at what she did.
Yeah.
And now he has a girl leading his little family, and that's unforgivable, right?
The scene with Gina and Carlo, I mean, obviously Carlo takes off his tie as a note to what Jimmy had said earlier.
That was great. And I just thought it was so funny that he's like, now I'm the head of the house. Like,
no, dude.
Yeah.
I was thinking about, I think Raquel mentioned in the past episode, what if Carlo had a deal with Gina as well? I think she had mentioned it in our past recording, because he doesn't seem fazed about anything.
Right.
He did look up to Jimmy, so I guess maybe he's just a kind of like whatever's convenient to me kind of guy.
Yeah. I think that was me, actually, which is totally fine. But
okay, sorry.
No, it's fine. Because of that scene with Michael in the car, it just seemed like something else was going on. But nothing really came of that. So I definitely don't think that they knew that she had planned, she was going to do this until that talk with Carmine. So I don't know if I was right or wrong.
I think regardless of the fact that Carlo was always trying to make Jimmy proud, his relationship with Gina was always much closer.
It was a stronger relationship.
Well, yeah. I mean, she said, "You came out of me." I mean, that's remember that. Maybe they didn't have a plan, but I don't think he minds it. I don't know how to explain it. Like, he's just okay.
I agree. He's team Gina. He views himself as similar to Gina and not Jimmy. Poor Jimmy's all alone. But like, Fia will never obviously never forgive her now that she's also had her dad shot on top of everything else.
No, I was so happy when we saw Jimmy open his eyes, because I really just wasn't expecting it. Like, I was just thinking, he's dead. Like, that's it. And I was just like, yep, that's it. And then we see him open his eyes. I was like, thank you, Joey, for doing that for us.
I know. Me too. Same. I thought he was gone. And even opening the eyes, like, he could have just shown him in the hospital without opening the eyes. But
yeah, exactly.
We even got the eye open. This is very, very exciting because I love
it's very important.
Yeah. Well, and I like how they did it too. Michael's story clearly wasn't over after season 1, and they did a fantastic job in the season of that, right? But now, if they did want to like continue, and maybe Bryan didn't want have time or whatever, it's cool how they did it so that he's in jail, so that he can be in jail as long as he needs to, or not. He could always rejoin. I don't know. I just think that the way that they left everything was pretty perfect.
Pretty smart.
So I guess he was turning himself in for the Carlo trial.
Right. And I wonder how much time he'd have to serve. And I also wonder maybe Carlo gets retried even, like they referenced earlier.
I guess now the district attorney is going to have to, retry all those cases, right?
How could you not? If he's admitted to being a dirty judge, which is really sad. But you can tell how like at peace he is mentally. So it's nice that Nancy was the one that drove him back, and clearly they're back to being friends and respecting each other, because that was her problem all along. She's just like really, really hated him for not being the straight judge that he always was, the person that she could trust to do what's right.
In the first season, obviously, he tried to be as fair as he could, but then obviously that went out the window when he was trying to save Adam. And then in this season, he really committed to, I don't want to lie anymore. And he still pretty much lost everything. But the way that he goes into jail, it's a little bit, he seems more at peace with that decision.
Yeah.
Because he made it on his own terms,
I do wonder how he would feel now that, he would obviously think he might not see Rocco again because Fia's pissed, but she's actually given the baby up for adoption. Like, I was so surprised by that. Like, actually, when we first saw them at the church, I thought, oh, she's getting him baptized, like,
Right, after her conversation with the priest. That is interesting. You had a much more logical thought than I did when I was like, oh my God, they're going to get together.
I was just so shocked that she gave Rocco up for adoption. I just really was. I just did not see that coming at all.
Yeah. I wonder if it's just to protect him from the Baxters, or it's for her sake as well. I don't know. It's so hard.
I was heartbroken, but I do think that it's because she doesn't want the baby to have anything to do with the Baxter name. Yeah. And I keep forgetting that she's 17 years old. She seems that she's a lot older. Yeah. So that is a very hard decision to make. And again, I was also reading reactions on social media, and some people weren't happy about it. And it just got me thinking, I don't think that we ever doubt that she loved this baby.
No, definitely.
So it had to have been a very difficult decision. And yet, she's still going to be judged by it. It doesn't matter what she would have done. So just shitty.
I was a little pissed because I thought maybe like Elizabeth could look after Rocco.
Yeah.
She didn't really give her the option of that. Probably maybe because she thought Elizabeth lied to her as well, even though, she obviously didn't know about anything.
Well, she probably also thought the Baxters could go after Elizabeth more easily because she's,
Yeah, true. They could probably figure out where Rocco is.
Right.
Because I can't imagine Gina being happy. Like, if there would ever be a season 3, she would definitely be possibly killing these adoptive parents to get Rocco back.
They're going to go after this kid no matter what. I don't know if it'll be when he's older or what, but Gina's not going to just let this baby go.
No.
And I think actually my problem with her decision is only that I think that Fia would have a much stronger ability to protect him from her family than strangers that don't know what they're getting into, perhaps. But hopefully they don't track him down. Big Mo's shuttering the bar. It's funny that we're like rooting for these drug dealers. Their entire motivation is they want to deal drugs.
Yeah.
In the quarter. I do like Big Mo a lot. Now that she's reversed her decision. My whole problem with her all season was like putting the bar above her family. So it's nice that in the end she gives up the bar when she doesn't necessarily have to, you know. But she decides to be all in on Desire again. It's just also well written.
Yeah, 100%. The shot of Eugene in the car with his smile was just like,
so cute.
It was extremely cute.
So cute. Yeah, like we've seen him being driven out of town earlier in the season, like on the bus, but he was not happy.
No.
Happy. And he didn't, you know, he stayed true to himself too. So it's just very nice.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think Michael threw the baseball away?
I just think he's just moving on from all this.
Yeah.
I think that's what that symbolized.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he just stopped liking Mariano Rivera.
But yeah, that's one of the things that was pretty big to that whole story. And getting rid of it is probably cathartic for him.
Don't you wish he'd thrown the inhaler in the...
Oh yeah, where did they put the inhaler? Where is that? I feel so bad for Django now. Like, obviously he has Elizabeth, but like he was so happy to have Michael back. Yeah.
I wonder how much time. I mean, not that it's important, but
time served goes.
Oh, for sure. I'm sure time served has to go
for the false tax evasion.
Yeah, that made everyone so angry.
Yeah, like I'm sure 6 months. You know, you got 6 months shaved of his 10-year sentence. I have no idea.
Yeah, I was surprised that when he went back into jail, but it makes sense. It's good. I love the fact that he got Eugene off without lying, because I think in the last episode, that's what I said would be the best, way for this to end. And he did it.
He was able to do it without compromising himself.
It was such a shout out to, early season 1, Michael. It was, it was all about how brilliant his mind was in staying ahead of everything and analyzing. And that's what ended up. Like Jimmy told him, they can't take your brain. They can disbar you, but they can't take your brain away from you. And he used it like he used to as a judge to get good guy off. Happy ending.
Yes.
All right. I think that is a wrap on our last episode of season 2 of Your Honor, which is kind of a bummer. I wish this was going on forever. On a personal note, we just want to say how fun podcasting the show has been these past couple months. We had started out as a Handmaid's Tale podcast a while ago and decided to spin off and do other shows on a new page because we had so much fun hanging out with each other, talking prestige television, and we couldn't have picked a better show to start with. It's a little challenging because we started from scratch on this new social media pages, whereas our Handmaid's page has thousands of followers and listeners built in. But it's been so rewarding, and we really especially want to thank the showrunner, Joey Hartstone, and all of the cast and crew members who've been so kind and supportive of us, sharing our posts, coming on the podcast to chat with us. And every single person has been so goddamn lovely. It's insane.
Mm-hmm.
Just thanks to all of you for that and for making such an incredible show. It really is a masterpiece, and it's been so enjoyable to discuss like every component of it every week.
Mm-hmm.
Every detail just blows us away. Mad props to everybody on Your Honor, and anybody that wants to come chat with us about their role on it. We'd love to have you. We're going to podcast Succession next, which starts next week. So if you're a fan of that show, don't go anywhere. And hopefully we'll be podcasting a season 3 of Your Honor in the coming years too, if Showtime knows what's good for itself. That is not a threat, but it's so good.
Definitely agree with all of that. I have to thank everyone, cast, crew, for making such an incredible show and for being so lovely to us. It's been very nice.
It's just been, such a positive experience all around. We picked the best show. And we're now loyal fans of like all of the cast and crew. So we'll follow your new work and support you and post about that too. All right. Well, thank you for listening, and come back next week if you're a fan of Succession, or catch up quickly and become a fan of Succession. I guess that's a wrap on Your Honor season 2. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.